Hello, my name is Anna Witherspoon, and I will be talking to you about cyberbullying. Now, what is cyberbullying? Everybody knows what bullying is. It is where children pick on another child because for many reasons that I don't think that are necessary. Now, but today I don't want to talk to you about just bullying. I want to talk to you about cyberbullying. It is something that I believe is getting bigger and bigger in our world because technology is becoming bigger and bigger. Now, I want to start with what is the definition. The definition of cyberbullying is when a child, preteen, or teen is tormented, threatened, harassed, humiliated, embarrassed, or otherwise targeted by another child, preteen, or teen using interaction or digital technology or mobile phones. This was found by SIOP Bullying. Now, before I go into more about what cyberbullying is, I want to tell you about a story that I based my project off of. It was made in 2011. It was a movie by ABC Family. It was called Cyberbullying. The movie had a young girl named Taylor in it, and she was in high school. Her mom was very protective and would not let her get on the internet except for certain times, and she would view what the sites that she was on. Now, for her birthday, she was given a laptop and given the privilege to go wherever she wanted online. Her mother trusted her, and Taylor knew that she wouldn't disobey her mom's trust. Now, while she was in high school, she had a crush on a football player, and she got onto the website when she got a laptop called Clicksters. This is where a bunch of people from her high school, they come together and they all get on this website and talk. It's kind of like Facebook, but a little bit more inappropriate. Now, on Clicksters, she made a lot of friends and she was friends with the guys that she liked. Things started to go wrong and people began to cyberbully her online. Many people at the same time would cyberbully. There was a group of girls that found it to be very funny to do this. Now, I don't want to tell you everything that happens because I don't want to ruin the story, but we do learn that she is bullied and she is picked on over and over and over again, and eventually it drives her to try to commit suicide. She was not able to commit suicide. She ends up living, and she learns that you can't be bullied at cyberbullying. You have to learn to stand up for yourself. And today I want to talk to you about cyberbullying and why it is becoming a huge part in our world. Now, the first thing that I want to go into talking about is the online population. Now, this doesn't have a lot to do with like the subject of cyberbullying, but I believe it makes it why we have cyberbullying. Now, when I was 13 years old, I did not have a cell phone. I did not have a Facebook. I did not have a MySpace. I didn't have any of that. I was able to get on the computer to play games, and that was it, and do homework. Now, today, as we can see here, hold on, sorry. Now, today, as we can see here, I really don't know what just happened. Now today, I'm sorry about that. Now today, what we can see here is that there are, between the ages of 13 and 17, we learn that the statistics are that 78% of that age group is on the internet, has been on the internet for 3 or more years. So if a 13-year-old was on the internet 3 or more years from when they were 13, then that means that they were 10 years old when they were on the internet. I remember being on the internet at 10 years old, but the technology and what they had is completely different, and I'll explain that more down in the lower part of my portion of my project. Then we see that 80% of this population is on the internet for 1 or more hours a day. I know that I can spend 30 minutes on the internet on Pinterest, or I can spend longer if I'm given it, but these kids don't always use Pinterest. Some do, but others use things like Facebook and instant messages. That was the thing when I was in high school. And, it's just becoming more and more population. But then we go down to cell phone. Cell phone is like I am. It is like instant messenger. And we learned that 13 to 15-year-olds, 59, over half of the United States population, owns a cell phone. That is a very large amount of people that don't really need cell phones. And, when they do need it, they need it, I believe, to call their parents, but they have text messaging and things like that, and that allows them to talk to so many people. Then the age group of 16 to 17-year-olds, 79% own a cell phone. That is a little bit more understandable because they're 16, they're 17, but still that is a large amount of population to have a cell phone. Now, when using the internet, going back up to the first point about 79% of the internet 3 or more years, we learned that 75% of the 13 to 17-year-olds instant message, 75% of those instant message a day. Then we learn that 60% read or post blogs, so things like Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, things like that. That is what they're on most of the day. Then 25% visit online chat rooms. Online chat rooms can be a major cause, online and really any of these, but an online chat room can cause a serious amount of online bullying. Luckily it is the lowest, but it still is. 13 to 17-year-olds, 23% visit online chat rooms. Now, if you look over here, right here, where it says 90% of parents don't know where their children are on the internet. If I was a parent, which I'm not, but when I am, I would want to know, and I would be able to want to block and not allow my kids to be on certain websites. This is a very large amount of percentage that parents don't know where their children are. Now, let's move on to the next thing about cyberbullying. Now that we know about how many students are on the internet and for how often, let's go into the actual topic of cyberbullying. Why do people cyberbully? Why would you cyberbully if you did? Why would you? Now we learned that statistics say that 81% find it funny. Now, I don't exactly find that funny, but if you think about high school and the age group that we're dealing with, 81% would find it funny. They would just think it's a good laugh. Now, we learned that 64% don't like them, so they do it out of hatred. They do it out of anger. They do it out of dislike, and that can cause a lot of pain to somebody. Probably a lot more pain than somebody that's just doing it funny. Someone that doesn't like them is probably trying to ruin their lives, which can lead to suicide. Now, 58% honestly don't think it's a big deal. They just think it's, oh, I'm not really hurting them. I'm just, it goes back up to the funny. I'm just being funny. It's not a big deal. And so that is why, according to research, why people cyberbullying. Now, I want to go into the emotions that a victim feels. If you were on the internet and somebody was saying bad things about you, making rumors, making lies about you, how would you feel? How would it make you feel? When I was bullied in high school by a young lady, I was scared. I was so deathly scared because she scared me a lot, and I was in a food class with her, and it really scared me, and it made me feel like a less of a person. But according to research, it shows that the emotions that a victim that is being cyberbullied, 56% are angry, 33% are hurt, 32% are embarrassed, and 13% are scared. Now, that is a lot of emotions for a child to feel when they are being cyberbullied, and that can lead to suicide. That can lead to people hurting each other, and that can lead to people killing each other because, there might be a child out there that is being cyberbullied that is feeling every single one of these emotions. If I was feeling every single one of these emotions, I would be extremely overwhelmed and scared. And so that is a lot to feel. Then we go into the actual forms of cyberbullying. Well, I know that we talked about the way that they were on the internet. This goes into the exact same thing about the forms. Now, the different forms are sending a message that was meant to be mean or threaten somebody. That is something that deals with the part of not liking them, or it's not a big deal. They, mostly with the I don't like them, they are trying to hurt that person. Then we learn about an account with Facebook. In the movie, we learn about somebody that is acting to be somebody else that they aren't really. And that is a big thing in today's world with the age of 13 through 17, because they think it's funny to go onto Facebook and make a different account and act like somebody else because they're not going to get in trouble, because they're not going to get caught. They go out there and they act as somebody else and they hurt people and they say things because the person that's cyberbullying the person that's being the victim is not knowing who it is, so the cyberbully doesn't care. Then we have sexting. That is a very big thing in today's world. Sexting, many people don't understand what it is, and I didn't know what it is until I got married. But sexting is when people send inappropriate pictures, like a girl would send a naked picture to a guy and vice versa. That is what sexting is. Or it is simply sending comments back and forth that are very inappropriate between two people, like having sex but having it on the phone. And so that is what sexting would be. It would be texting, but the other way. Then we learn about what the victims do. The first thing is a victim will lash out. They will get even. The second thing they will do is they will ignore it. It might get worse, but they will try to ignore it. Another victim might talk to a person and ask them to stop or to stop saying or doing what they are doing. The fourth person might block the person from being bullied. And the fifth person, they can talk to a friend or an adult about what is happening. The block the person is actually according to research, is actually the best decision, because with the internet you always have the option to block somebody, and if you choose to block somebody, then you can choose to refuse to see their comments, and that can refuse to make you feel less of a person or feel the emotions of anger, hurt, embarrassed, or scared. Now that we know what the forms are, what the emotions, why people cyberbullying, and what the victims do, I want to go into talking about what the laws are. The laws are not huge on cyberbullying because I don't think that they realize that it's such a big deal. But 49 out of the 50 states have passed laws against bullying, not cyberbullying. In the world, cyberbullying and bullying are two completely different things. But 49 states have passed a law against bullying. Now, when we look at cyberbullying, only 16 states have passed a law against cyberbullying. That means that the rest of those states don't have any laws, so it's completely okay. There's nothing that a parent can do, there's nothing that an adult can do, there's nothing that a child can do, there's nothing that a teenager can do in those other states except for not those 16 states. Now, Kansas does make it illegal. Kansas has made the law that if somebody is cyberbullying, the school of that child has the right and the right to decide what's going to happen. Now, if we think about there has been 13.2 million cases of cyberbullying in the last 3 years. And when they say 13.2, they mean 13.2 million people have died or tried to commit suicide because of cyberbullying. That is a very large amount of population. Now, if the states were to pass law, every single state was to pass a law against cyberbullying, we could cut down by half of the people that die. So that would be somewhere in the 6 or the 5s. I'm not the best in math. But if we were to take that and we were and all the states would say no cyberbullying. If you do this, you get punished. The people that are scared of that will stop. The cyberbullying will go down. And that is something that I think that this world needs to know about, because 13.2 million people dying a year because of cyberbullying is a very large amount of population. Now I want to tell you about why is that important as a teacher. One may think we cannot stop it for good, but we can make an effort to change the way the bully lives and thinks. As a teacher, we need to make sure that we are educating our students the best we can to understand that bullying can hurt people and that no one likes a bully in life, and especially not on the internet. The internet is becoming an unsafe place for children to go, and that is not a good thing because our technology is going up and up and up, and it will continue to go up. And so I believe that as a teacher, it is my job to tell when I see a cyberbullying or when I see a bully to stop it, to tell them that this is not okay. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you learned something about cyberbullying.